Residents, go in and stay in your houses. Drive the rats in the tank area.
What is up, everybody in Morgrat Universe on this titillating Tuesday? Oh, man. So today is officially like, when Tuesday feels like a Monday. I don't know about y'all, but it certainly feels that way to me. So, yeah, usually Monday is the day, but today we are bringing you our latest edition of Tracks of the Damned, and we appreciate y'all so much. It was awesome to see people waiting again out in the waiting area on YouTube, which I have to commend everybody that the Reapers Underground, both the Facebook and YouTube, has gained so many new followers. I just hit 1.8 on the Facebook page. Awesome. And over 200 on YouTube. So it's growing, and it's because of y'all. We love y'all so much. So tonight,
got some big shows. Got some big shows coming up too.
We most certainly do. As if John Christ coming on at the beginning of the month was
Lily. Hello, Lily.
She's got to make her debut every time. Yeah, so this week is gonna be fucking nuts yet again. Hello, Kyler. What's up, brother? Good to see you. And don't be afraid to hit subscription button on oh my God, fuck this shit. YouTube. Got to hit the subscribe button on the YouTube, which, like I said, so many of you now are subscribing, and it's awesome. But share this shit out. Share it anywhere and everywhere. Any metal lover, because tonight we have a real. What's up, Cody? How's it going? A very special edition of Tracks of the Damned, because it's something we don't normally do. And I kind of like, especially the feisty ass mood that I'm in, to talk about some horrible disappointments. How many of us have so many favorite bands? And believe it or not, my list doesn't pick on too many, and some will actually surprise you, who I usually hate, but that you really loved an album or a couple albums, and then suddenly the album that follows just flatlines it for you. It's like, what the fuck happened, right? So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Disappointing follow-up records, metal records that were just like, what the hell happened? Mousebong, what's up?
All right, Mousebong.
So, yep, somebody's got to wake up Homer and get him on there too, Babylon. He's always a day late and $1 short, but he'll get there. All right, so disappointing follow-up albums. Yeah, I'm not going to run a commercial tonight because I just want us to have a good time tonight. We're going to laugh. We're probably going to yell a little bit. And we invite all of you to tell us some of your disappointments on bands that you have enjoyed that had a follow-up record that left a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah. Anyway. So what you got there for us, Hoofbeast?
God damn, there are so many that are so fucking awful.
And these are in no specific order, folks. At all. It's just they made our lists.
This was the easiest one that we've ever done for me to prepare for. It was so easy to prepare for this. I just went down my CDs and I was just like, oh yeah, that one fucking sucked. Like, I can see a band Like Cradle of Filth. I like all their albums. There are a couple that are a little more on the mediocre side, not with as much of an edge, but there's nothing that's like real shit out of it's like Cradle of Filth. But there are some other bands when you just hear the band's name, you're just like, I don't have no idea how I do that. There are other
Never
bands
you
to where
do this.
you're just like, oh my gosh, I know that band has some one, two, three, four shit albums.
Yep, for
Metallica.
sure. And Cody already has one for us.
All
He
right, looks
says,
like Cody started off.
yeah, he said Slipknot after Subliminal Verses Volume 3. Yeah. Couldn't agree more, man. Could not agree more.
Yeah. So my first one is, yeah, I mean this is kind of like busting Reaper's balls because Reaper loves this band, and I even wore the T-shirt tonight for just for Reaper. And
Oh,
I'm
great.
talking about Dream fucking Theater.
Ah,
They
that's
had a
okay.
fucking
I'm not
shit album.
surprised they made a list.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a. I mean, there's all kinds of guitar wankery, but this
Of
album,
course.
like they just wrote duds. The songs are not memorable to me. They're fucking awful, and I like the Mangini era, so that to me is probably a loss. I'm just a little bit excited that um, maybe the return that's coming, that hopefully this year they're going to have a new album that that this is going to inspire them. I don't know, maybe to push heavier and go into an even better, different direction. Try something new, like really mix it up. So the album that I liked, that I thought was really good before.
Just you wait
So,
there, Kyler.
oh yeah. So this is the self-titled album. I think it came out in like 2014. I thought it was great. There's a couple of ballads on there that are meh, but I thought this is a really good album. And this is one of my palate cleanses. I can't listen to extreme metal all the time, and I really do like John Petrucci and Mike Portnoy. Like when he returns this year, I'm really curious to see what he's going to bring. Who knows? But the album that followed this up was really long. It's a 2 CD set, and it's fucking boring. I tried so hard to like this album, and I was super disappointed. And it's a concept album, and it like has no heart, no soul at all. It's very just really meh, and it's called The Astonishing.
Hmm.
Dream Theater, The Astonishing.
Sounds to me like they spent more time on the front cover than they did actually writing the songs.
Yeah, it was. It's like they. My opinion of it is the songs are really long. Like it's a double CD, and they were just in over their head. Like for my album that's coming out soon, a lot of the songs are really long, and those songs are way harder to do for me when it's really long, and I have like five or six completely different things going on in the song, and to make them come together, and then to throw lyrics and choose which parts have no lyrics and all that.
There, yeah, they made my
Oh.
list. So you read my mind there, Mouse Bong.
Mouse Bong's not gonna like I started to agree with Mouse Bong, but it was one of my honorable mentions. But to me, Heartwork was my huge disappointment because I was a Reek of Putrefaction and a Symphonies of Sickness fan big time. And when they left the grind and they went for this all too melodic, especially the song about rock in the free world or whatever, I don't even remember. Here,
Walking in the free
I
world.
I even brought it. This isn't one of my main picks. This was like a dishonorable mention for me. But what the hell was that fucking song? Uh,
It's so bad he can't even remember the name of the song.
well, it's too
My goodness.
dark here. It's too dark here. But it's the one that talks about rock or something. Ugh,
It's
no
kind of
thank you.
interesting because reviewers were kind of mixed. Some hating the Swan Song record, like the other one, and then there's the ones that hated the other one and then like Swan Song. So it's kind of like I don't know. Yeah, I agree. She says that it's a great rock and roll record, but come on now. You know, we were all wowed by, you know, the earlier albums. It's like that's just a little too much of a change.
Yeah, when Bill Steer stopped doing his vocals, and I saw them live on the Symphonies of Sickness tour with Pestilence, with Martin Van Drunen playing bass, and uh, um, Death on the Spiritual Healing tour. That was maybe the three best bands together that I've ever seen. It was so fucking good. But to witness Bill Steer and him and Jeff Walker vocally playing off of each other, and just how deep Bill Steer was with his vocals, and they were so unique and so heavy and so dirty and filthy. And then to go to Carcass, where now they're to Heartwork, where they're really melodic. Yeah. Thank you, Mousebong. That's a great contribution, because look, it got me off on a huge fucking tangent. But I did have that as a dishonorable mention for me. It's not a bad album at all, but I was so disappointed because I wanted grindcore and I didn't get that.
Yeah, it's like when you get, you know, you're given a piece of, you know, metal gold, and you know you're just so into it, you can't wait to hear more of it. Mm-hmm. And then that's not what they end up doing. And there's a lot of bands on here that did that very thing. Now, I know at the beginning I said I wasn't going to pick on the ones that I usually do, but I abso-fucking-lutely have to say this. The Unholy Fab Four. The first four records have lived on in beautifully sweet, whatever you call that, infamy. And Danzig fans have never been as captivated before as they were from those first four records. So for 4 straight albums, there's a lot of bands that don't keep upping their game like that. And the songwriting and all the different stuff, you know, tempo changes, doomy, you know, a lot, you know, really cool doomy breakdowns, a lot of blues. I mean, it definitely helped Danzig to procure their place in metal history. Until Danzig 5, Black Acid Devil.
I agree. That was my biggest disappointment, probably of all time.
I would have to agree. It literally left me bitter. There's another band that I fucking love to no end, which I also sadly have to report this evening, but I'm going to. You know, it's so funny. I have to read just a little part of this. You know, this guy couldn't have said it better. He says, now he was peddling some sort of second-rate Nine Inch Nails style industrial twaddle, and the use of effects over his vocals for most of the songs completely robbed them of all their power. That is absolutely true. I just had to read that little snippet, because I'm like, you know, I was going to just, you know, motherfuck it up and down like I always have ever since it came out, because it left us with such a bad taste in our mouth. And how do you fuck up one of the greatest Black Sabbath songs ever written? The motherfucking Hand of Doom. No video full of flopping titties and this and that is going to save the suckery of that song. And he chose to cover that and stands behind it to this day. So what does that tell you?
I think he had his ass hurt when everybody left him, and he should have never
got rid of John Christ.
He's gonna do Opposite Day. I could see he was gonna get rid of John Christ in Danzig 4, because there's a couple of shit cakes in Danzig 4 where you're hearing this fucking bullshit that Danzig, and I could tell Rick Rubin was on his way out, because Danzig was pushing back, imagining that he's some sort of a pioneer of music, and boy, he just made a fucking shit cake.
That is so So perfect, Mouse Bomb. Hopefully that phrase will live on in infamy.
Mhm.
No flopping titties will save it from the suckery. But it's so true that you always could tell whenever Danzig does something visually, he throws these fucking porn actresses out there in the videos, and of course they're all gothed out and all that stuff, trying to look evil. Well, you know what, that song is evil on its own. It doesn't need anything
Mhm.
else. If he would have fucking sang it and played it right. And let's face it, the drummer that he had for the record, who actually went on to do a couple more of those records, was he was first rate. He was a great fucking drummer, Joey Castillo. So I feel like he really did him a disservice on that record. He should have just, he basically fired everybody. Why didn't he just do the whole goddamn record himself if he was suckling at the teat of Trent Reznor that bad?
He paid for it
Oh,
dearly.
fuck yeah, he did.
Boy, he paid for it. I mean,
I
one
don't
of
even
the
think you can find it on
dumbest,
Spotify anymore.
yeah, one of the dumbest decisions ever was to no, it's on Spotify, and he's got the new cover for it. I
Oh
remember
my.
I went and bought that album. There was a record store right next to Penske where my car was getting worked on, and I went and bought it. Man, I couldn't wait to listen to it. And I was a little worried because I'd already partaken of those two shit cakes that were on Danzig 4 that had drum machine shit on it. And
Yeah.
I was worried. And then once I heard that, I was just like, no. That is my biggest disappointment out of all the albums. That one was super disappointing.
And I honestly remember, when they were interviewing Glenn back during around that time, he said, you couldn't tell on Danzig 4 like what was coming next. And he's referring to those shit cakes you're talking about.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, maybe he's just being creative and like trying to, create a little atmosphere within some of those songs. I still didn't prepare me for what I was about to hear. So on that one, Glenn, fuck you. That's all I can say. You got rid of the best musicians you'll ever have in your life.
Oh
End
my
of
God.
story.
They all work so well. Chuck Biscuits paired with John Christ, and then Rick Rubin was the mastermind. To me, he was the wizard of all of this. John Christ was so talented, and those guys just worked together. It was that trio. And then Danzig's vocals were an amazing fit, and he fucked it all up. He fucked it all up. And they wouldn't play Misfit songs back then, too. I wanted them to play Misfit song. Every fucking buddy. I wanted them to play something off of Earth AD. That's my favorite. Shit, I didn't care which album it was.
I don't know. Honestly, I think he wanted people to forget the Misfits. That's all part of like the rolling ego that I think Glenn was starting to have. He's like, no, this is the real music. This is for years. That's what it was. And when Danzig toured with Metallica, when Metallica was still decent for a second. The only time he would actually do any of those covers was with them. So he just did not want to do that in a Danzig set.
Yeah.
And every time I've seen him live from, 90, 95 into the early 2000s and then just a few years ago, still does not. But then again, he got strong-armed into doing the right thing and doing the reunion thing with the Misfits, and it's going very well. So he really doesn't have to play them, but I digress.
I'd rather have the original Danzig reunion. That would be fun.
I'm afraid to see what a new record would look like at this point.
If Rick Rubin had most of the power, I would want to listen to it. if he had all the veto power over the stupidity of what Danzig would do.
It would be nice.
All right, my second one is a band that in 2019 was on many people's album of the year list, and the name of the album is Where Owls Know My Name, and I'm talking about, now this is the good album, Rivers of Nile. They came out with this album, Where Owls Know My Name. This album is fucking awesome. I couldn't give one half of a shit about the damned saxophone in there. I hate it when they put saxophone. To me, it's such a fucking stupid gimmick. Unless you're going to have it be an integral part of all the songs, it's such a fucking gimmick. I hate that. That's my only
It has to
complaint
have
about,
real purpose.
yeah. Like that's my only complaint about this album, but this is a dynamic album. And the one that that came out before this was also a good album. But then they came out in 2022, and man, I was disappointed. I've listened to this album a whole 2 fucking times. It's so fucking bad. And it's Rivers of Nile. Oh, I have it upside down. Rivers of Nile,
No
The
worries.
Work. The Work.
Ah.
Save yourself. Don't go get this fucking album. Go get this fucking album. Where Owls Know My Name. This one is so good. Rivers of Nile. This one, it's like all ego driven and shit songwriting. And it's just fucking boring. Nothing is memorable again. It's
Uh-huh.
just fucking bullshit. Fuck you, Rivers of Nile, for this. You better get your heads out of your asses for the next fucking album.
You know, I wonder if they just didn't believe in their prior music and thought that they would be edgy by doing something like that. You know what I mean? Just throwing something in there just for the sake of doing it. I don't know. You know, one of the things I've really noticed a lot is when you read interviews from some of these bands about those new records, or, you know, or at the time that they came out, they're like, oh, you know, I was really deep into this band, that band. I was really heavily influenced by so-and-so during this time. Sometimes it's due to collaboration. Case in point, did you hear the atrocity that might be taking place? Actually, no, it's not might, it's taking place. Cradle of Filth is collaborating with Popstar. Oh my goodness, I had his name on the tip of my tongue. He's from Ireland. Very, very popular. God damn it.
Was he in Game of Thrones?
No, I don't think so. Shit.
Yeah, I'm not very good with the pop star names.
That's okay.
Neither are you.
You know me, I'll find it. Well, anyways, he sings all that iron there. Okay, here it is. Hold on. Damn it. Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, he was in Game of Thrones. That's who I couldn't think of.
Okay. Name. My bad. Can you believe that shit?
Fuck him. Fuck it. Fucking bullshit.
Why would Cradle of Filth make a move like that?
I would love for you to have Danny Filth on and ask him that very fucking question.
Ooh. They might bury me 12 feet under instead of 6 feet under. I mean, I am kind of good at asking questions and hiding my anger behind it, and it still be there, but they don't realize it. I'll be like, so what brought about this Ed Sheeran thing? So it's like, you know, sometimes, like I said, when collaborations happen, this shit really doesn't, it's more influenced by the collaborator than it is the actual band. Cody, I could not agree more. He says, I'll do it. I'll ask him, what the fuck, man?
Hell yeah. It's kind of like
yeah. That's official. I'll bring you on that.
Lady Gaga performing with Metallica.
That was actually fitting because, I mean, they were very much her speed.
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit.
They checked their metal card years ago, man.
Yeah, this fucking
But
fake card.
yeah, right. So my next one. Now I got to go back to my original page. Hello. Hold on. There we go. All right. So this band had really up to, excuse me, the early 90s, really solidified themselves as a very, very good thrash band. And I mean, for 2 straight albums, just awesome, good. I guess what you would call like world class thrash. And the band I'm talking about is Sabbath.
Mm.
So, third album comes around in 1991. Morning Has Broken. Completely changed the formula. I'm talking about 2 fantastic thrash records, and then suddenly they dumbed things down. The quality of the voice changed quite a bit. It got the I guess it was like the complex parts, instead of like, when we think of thrash, obviously it's technical at times. But I mean, this got really fucking weird, like really, really proggy. Richie Desmond's, normally kind of very traditional doom metal style vocals. I think that might have been part of the problem because, that guy actually replaced, I think, the original singer. So it was just, it's not what fans. If you could imagine being in this awesome thrash band where vocals are very rapid fire, you know how it goes, how it like very much follows the rhythms and stuff. And then suddenly take a Candlemass vocalist and stick it in that band. Like Messiah. Fans are going to be like, what the hell happened to you guys? Why did you do this? So suddenly things are more complex. The thrash element is out, and not only critics, but fans boycotted the fuck out of that record. So if you're a Sabbath fan, not Sabbath, do not get Morning Has Broken from 1991.
Yeah, never really listened to Sabbath. I've heard them a couple of times, but I was just always into other bands.
Well, I mean, come on. There's so many bands for every single genre. It just happened to be one that, back in those times, I was listening to, a lot of what I would consider to be better thrash bands, because, Slayer kind of changed in the 90s, and not for the better, obviously. So, you start looking through other things, and, friends are friends. They'll be like, hey, you might like this or you might like that. So, I go and check it out. And I actually, found them from their second record. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what the next offering is. This might be really good. Nope.
All right. Well, my next one is another one of your favorite all-time bands.
I bet.
This is Reaper's favorite of the Fab Four. So they hired away a vocalist from Armored Saint, and they got John Bush, and they made this album, which The Sound of White Noise, which I fucking love. I think this is a great thrash album. Maybe even definitely pulling away from thrash. It's a really good album.
Just a great metal record, period.
And then and then in 1995, I bought Stomp 442.
Yeah,
That
stomp a mud hole in fucking Belladonna's face.
that fucking album sucks so much ass, and a lot of it is on John Bush. He
Ah,
did not write the first song is okay. It's not terrible. But after you get past the first song, they're like real generic lyrics. And they're now starting, instead of doing all their thrash chugging and quick stuff,
mhm.
now they're playing like big fat power chords and letting them ring out like every 5 to 10 seconds. And it just fucking sucks. So Anthrax, Stomp 442, fuck you. Now the album that came out after that, they got back on track. The only thing was is they changed the tone of their guitars and their chugging. And one song has a whole shit ton of cowbell in it. But it's the album that has like a wrecking ball that's the 8 ball from a pool table. That
Mhm.
album is actually pretty good. And John Bush returned to writing good songs. So that album's actually pretty good. But damn, Stomp 442, stay away. Don't spend
You
your
think
money if you
maybe it
come
was
across.
just kind of like rushed? Like maybe he didn't really take time to write good lyrics, good content, you know?
It could be. Yeah.
You saw
To
what
me,
happened to Tool.
yeah, he's the one who dropped the ball. Totally. But I would also put it on Ian's shoulders as well, because this
You have
his
to. I'd put it on
his
Charlie's shoulders too.
yeah, Charlie's drumming was pretty boring, but the fucking cowbell on the album after that with the 8 ball on it, the fucking cowbell. There's one song cowbell is throughout, and I don't know if that Saturday Night Live ish episode had been out where they're doing I think Blue Oyster Cult and what's his name is showing off his muffin top and he's got the wig and he's doing the
Yeah.
cowbell. Yeah, Anchorman. I forgot his fucking name right now. Will Ferrell. Anyways, that's my third one that I was so disappointed because I was actually not too happy that Joey Belladonna was kicked out because I liked the Piece of Time album. I liked it just fine. But then once I went and bought it, gave it a chance, I fucking loved it. It's probably my favorite Anthrax album.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the John Bush era before. Definitely the better vocalist. His, you know, uh freshman album with them was definitely great fucking Anthrax. And I don't know, if the way they write, whether it's the riffs come first, then lyrics come, or was he just fresh out of ideas, had old lyrics and said, "Oh, here, that riff you're playing, this might go with it," and just comes out janky.
Hmm.
Uh, and he also, went into that with knowing that Anthrax has die-hard fans,
Hmm.
and he already was feeling the pressure of that. So maybe since that first record was a success for them, he was kind of maybe lackadaisical about the second one. Oh,
Hmm.
I made it. They've accepted me now, so I can shit the bed.
Yeah,
Dumb
that's
fuck.
it.
I hate that. It's like, oh, okay, I did my absolute fucking best to win everybody over. Now I got them. I can lay back and do what the fuck I want. Eat a dick.
Yeah, I want to expound upon that a little bit more. Like Randy Blythe in the making of the Sacrament album for Lamb of God, he
Uh-huh.
talks about having his kind of brain locks, and sometimes he's just in a funk and he gets really down. And I think he has had substance issues, alcohol and
Oh,
stuff like that.
yeah.
And so he gets in a funk, in a dark state of mind. And he talked about how like he doesn't want to write something when he's in that funk because it's going to be uninspired and it's going to sound like shit. And not that I've been in a funk lately, but if I'm real busy and I don't feel energetic and like I have all kinds of time and motivation and energy to bring forward, I can't do the lyrics, especially if it's a tough song. And like the last song that I'm writing right now, not that I'm anything like Randy Blythe or anything like that, but I understand what he's saying. Like to be inspired, you can't fake that. And if you're busy and you're distracted with whatever's going on in life, you're going to have a harder time. So like this last song's taken me over a month to write because I have to be right to do it. And what I'm doing is I've rearranged things in the song. It's a 12-minute song. It's fucking long, and it has
It's a lot of depth.
it has six different parts to it where every part sounds very different. And so I have to come up with different melodies, and I want those melodies to stick. So I have to be inspired to do this shit. So I've got four of them so far out of the six. I got two more to go. Hopefully tomorrow night and the next night I'll finish them.
Awesome. Well, that leads me into touching upon a band that is going to be a sore spot for literally everyone. So we have all been fans of Black Sabbath since they began. They have had amazing record after record after record in those first 10 years. Until, I mean, we got to Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and that was just a masterpiece, really, of a record for them. And for I don't know, everyone can kind of go either way on Sabotage, because I actually enjoyed a lot of that record, especially
Yeah,
like
me
the more
too.
bluesy
Yeah.
riffing from the Riff Master General. And then all of a sudden, Technical Fucking Ecstasy comes out. And every fucking Black Sabbath fan said, what? Tony Iommi cut his signature fro off, now has a super, super, super short haircut, and he's got
Helmet.
the porn. No, he got rid of the porn stash that made him famous. He's all clean shaven. Ozzy looked like he just came out of the Rootin' Tootin' Bootin' Saloon saying, hey guys, look what I can do. Oh, and let's not forget our good friend Bill Ward, who suddenly, practically chopped all his locks off too, frizzed his hair out to look like Don Henley from the fucking Eagles, and puts these big round, sunglasses on, in a do-rag, and Geezer looks like he didn't step out of the first 5 years. He was still himself, but suddenly whole new sound. And it's almost like they succumbed to corporate rock, because at that time they said that was something that they were facing, like all those bands like the Eagles, Kansas, and obviously Led Zeppelin, So they're like, well, music is heading this way, so we're going to go with it. So I don't know if they just figured that they would have a hit, or if it was the drugs and the craziness and hanging out with KC, and the fucking Sunshine Band decided to make them put this stink fest out. I don't know why. There's not a damn good song at all on the. Okay, I'll give you Dirty Women. That was about as close to a decent song that came off that record. I mean, we did forever and a day ago, we did an edition on album covers, and how much, some of them really, really suck. Man, you look at the front cover of that thing, it's like, what are we looking at? It looked like the most avant-garde piece of art shit I have ever seen. Nothing about it says anything. I don't know if they, commissioned somebody who was dropping a hell of a lot of acid at the time. But you could tell just by looking at that and seeing the past album covers, and you just kind of knew. Like I remember when I got the record, I had this feeling come over me. I'm like, okay, maybe their usual guy who, gives them either really good ideas on front covers, or, maybe somebody got fired and somebody new, this album could still rock. Nope.
I think
Don't you want about your friends and neighbors? Shut up! What the hell was that? I'm at a loss for words. And this is one of my all-time favorite bands. So near and dear to me. Don't buy that record.
yeah, fucking waste of money. I think that somebody in the band, maybe Tony or maybe Ozzy, took Bill Ward's red tights from the Sabotage album cover, sniffed them for hours and hours, called this inspiration, ate those fucking spandex leggings, and then said, "Let's go do an album, boys."
I
Fuck
mean,
them.
I guess they were looking for their Hotel California hit. Well, I guarantee you, they didn't find it. It's not on that record.
When I think of that album, I think of the word insincerity. It's such an insincere album, like fucking bullshit. We know who you are. Stop faking it. It's a fucking fake.
Yeah. Mouse Monk says, sniffing those spandex. Yeah, seriously, if you haven't heard this piece of shit-tasticness, don't waste your time. It is not the Sabbath that you know and love. You know, Ozzy was just all about consumption, so he's just gonna, okay, whatever you want me to sing, guys, I'll sing it.
Well, my first love in 1983, getting into metal, was Quiet Riot. And they had Come On Feel the Noise and Metal Health. That was my getting into metal. You know, we all get in some way. Unfortunately, it was not Venom or Maiden. It was fucking Quiet Riot. And
That's okay.
Metal Health is a great fucking album. My second was Twisted Sister. While I did not do a thumb, I don't know why it did that.
You alluded to the thumb.
Yeah, I must have put it up like that much or something like that.
Just enough, man. You
like
got that thumb.
Oh, there it went. Man, God, it just waits. But anyways, Motley Crue was somewhere in there, but I really got into Twisted Sister. I did not like We're Not Gonna Take It. But I really liked Number of the Beast. I liked The Price. I liked I Want to Rock. I love those songs. And then I got into Maiden after that. But so this, when Stay Hungry came out, I loved this album. The only song I didn't care for was We're Not Gonna Take It. The video was fun and it was funny. And Dee Snider was scary. And then after that, that
was the best part.
I think it was my sophomore year, right before Christmas, fucking Come Out and Play came out.
More like Come Out and Suck.
Oh man, it fucking sucked. So the title track off of it, Come Out and Play, that's a good song. It's pretty heavy, pretty fast, but then they had Leader of the Fucking Pack. They covered that song of all fucking songs. Oh, it was such a dumb video. I was so disappointed. That song was probably my biggest disappointed, even more than Black Acid Devil. Danzig.
You know, it literally was for all of us, because that is the song that they led off with. Because I, like you, was waiting for that next album because, you know, Stay Hungry was such a masterpiece. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't even like get to the record store yet. And they had already released the video. Let's talk about the video for a second. For Leader of the Pack. And there they all are standing there in matching stonewashed jeans and a jean jacket vest riding motorcycles. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Where's the makeup?
Yep.
What happened to the makeup? Wait a minute. What's going on? And they're all like choreographed on these motorcycles. And I'm saying to myself, and suddenly girls are jumping on the backs of their bikes. And I'm just sitting here going, wait a minute. Twisted Sister was not about getting chicks at all.
No.
They frightened everyone. So, and then I still listening to the song. I'm like, I got to go all the way through it. And I just said, fuck this shit, man, and turned off the TV. I didn't even buy it. I didn't even buy the record. I said, this is not motherfucking Twisted Sister at all. It's like somebody gave these guys a really bad advice. And that, and this is true because they were on a major label at the time.
Atlantic.
They could have told them, maybe, the thing of, doing these gimmicks and this and that, they're kind of running their course. You see Kiss over there. Kiss isn't running around in makeup anymore, and they're still knocking out the charts. So suddenly they're no longer in drag. And it's just like, no, that's not what we want. Where was the shouting guy, that was in the other videos? It's like, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, so they announced a tour and they were going to headline this tour and they were going to play Veterans Memorial Coliseum, which was the big Coliseum in Phoenix, Arizona, the Madhouse on McDowell. And they had to cancel it because so few tickets sold. Yeah, great job, guys. That was so fucking dumb. And they were still wearing makeup, just not for that video. And they didn't do makeup for like You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, which was the album before Stay Hungry, which is a really good album. Yeah, but shit. If like Stay Hungry, listen to this, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, which was before that, and their first album was Under the Blade. Really good albums. Their first 3 albums were outstanding. And then they shat the bed with Come Out and Play. Come Out and Play is the only good song on that album. The rest fucking suck. Fuck you, Twisted Sister. And then if shitting in the bed wasn't good enough for them, they shat the same bed again and rolled and wallowed around in it for their next album. It fucking sucked. The next album was Love Is for Suckers. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, with a fucking title like that, you almost kind of know what you're gonna get.
And it was you. That's exactly what you got.
When you got Blackie fucking Lawless over there, talking about fuck like a beast, and you're sitting here going, "Love is for suckers." I mean, that's exactly what you can hear in your fucking ears without even hearing the record. You see that, you go, up, balls are gone. Yeah, he probably went through a divorce or some shit because, they couldn't even sell any tickets.
And Twisted Sister had the pleasure of touring with Iron Maiden before Come Out and Play came out. I mean, couldn't that quality have rubbed off on them? It was for the Power Slave tour, too, which was arguably their best tour.
Yeah. Honestly, I think in all of their history, that was probably their greatest tour ever.
That was my introduction to the Devil's Lettuce as well. When I smelt it, I knew what it was. I'd never smelt it before. I went into the show by myself because my dad, like, we couldn't afford another ticket for my dad to go in. So he drove me and he waited out in the parking lot and I went in all by myself. And boy, the Maiden fans were smoking it up. Smelled so fucking good.
He's like, I got to smoke the good stuff that night. Daddy never knew. Getting back to some of these comments here, let's have a look. Mousebong says, first time I asked my mom for metal tapes for Christmas, all I got was Quiet Riot. It was like 1995 at this point, so I was like Holy crap, because metal had changed so much by
Oh,
then.
hell yes.
And I also have to agree with Mousebong on this one. Dee Snider is scarier out of makeup. But you know what? We loved the blue eyeshadowed, big red lipstick with the fucking beauty mark looking motherfucking Dee Snider with his big ass teased out hair. He didn't look right without it. He literally did not. He was one of those guys, I get this a lot whenever I go make, personal appearances. Kids always ask me, did you tattoo that makeup on your face? When I'm, doing, my Reaper character. And I'm like, no, could you imagine? Nobody would want to know me or get to know me, except for maybe black metal guys and horror fans. But other than that, I used to be one of those kids. I was like, I bet you that's what he looks like all the time, everywhere he goes. Because when you're a kid, you don't really understand that, oh, this is just entertainment, So I don't know. And speaking of Maiden, my next one happens to deal with the awesome, utterly fantastical Iron Maiden. Now, this one might be argued. Some people might have liked this record. I know I didn't. It's not one of my more favorite ones by them, but commercially and like their core fans didn't really take to this record very well. Because as you know, some of these iconic bands, Slayer, Iron Maiden, Anthrax, everybody who was coming out of the great decade of the 80s into the 90s, when grunge unfortunately happened, they were having a hard time. They were really having a hard time moving on into the 90s with new material, because now listeners are looking for other sounds. And, well, Iron Maiden happened to put out an album in 1990 called No Prayer for the Dying. And go ahead.
Good choice.
Oh, okay.
Fucking man.
Oh, man. It's like we used to have the rumbling of Steve Harris's bass in our faces, just pounding away. The drums fast and furious, the guitars, and doing their awesome synchronized guitar playing, melodically and all that stuff. This record just didn't deliver that this time. And they came off of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Iconic record for them. It was good. Really fucking good. Mm-hmm. So to go from that to what seemed like maybe they got smacked around a little bit behind the scenes and said, we're going to do things a little different. It just didn't hold up. And it was kind of a letdown for a lot of Maiden fans that have been with them since Bruce Dickinson stepped onto the stage with them. So just wasn't a very strong record. It didn't, we talk about sincerity. The writing was just not as good.
Yep. So. It's very, very, very flat. Die with your boots on. No, thank you. Boring song. And they play that at most of their shows now.
More like fuck with your boots on.
Yeah. Done that. Been there, done that. But I'm so glad you brought that one up, because that's very
Tail
fair.
Gunner was the worst.
So what happened? Yeah. So what happened was, what I was not doing a fucking fun. So Bruce Dickinson did his, what is it, Balls to Picasso, whatever, solo album. Adrian left, and Adrian and Dave Murray are the ones who played off with the melodies so fucking well. That's what was missing. They brought in this tall, skinny guy, and he was more rhythm oriented. And so
Changed
when I knew
the whole damn formula.
when so they sucked ass for about 10 years until Adrian came back with the album A Brave New World. So
Hmm.
I thought, okay, they're going to have three guitarists now. That other fucking guitarist, he needs to go fucking away. Hurt his feelings, make him go away. He was the guitarist for Bruce Dickinson's solo project.
Yeah,
He
what's that
needs
tell
to
you?
he needs to
All
go
the
away
young dudes.
because in my opinion, Fear of the Dark sucked as well, and every other album up until A Brave New World when Adrian came back. And the reason why, because we already talked about this, if you haven't seen it, you
Absolutely.
can go back in our backlog of shows on YouTube, and you can see where we ranked Iron Maiden's best albums. And
Right.
I already discussed this, but I analyzed this, and they were just more rhythm oriented. Gone were the single note dueling melodies and harmonizing melodies that they were so wonderful with, and everything was straightforward and forgettable for the most part. I saw them on the No Prayer for the Dying tour, and
Mm.
Anthrax opened up for them.
Oh,
It was still a good song because they still had such a catalog, but whenever they played every song off of that new record, I go, whoa, no thanks. But like when I saw them on the Power Slave tour, everybody's so excited for every new song because that album was fucking amazing. But man, fuck that guitarist just needs to go away. So when Brave New World came out, I thought this was going to be outstanding. Maybe they could do triple kind of melodies, harmonizing and stuff. Nope. That dude was still hanging on to his technique of doing his rhythm, kind of going against the play of Dave Murray and Adrian. So fuck that guy. I don't, he
such a
can just go
stupid
away.
idea too.
He looks
Because
like
I
he's
mean,
80 years old too.
he was probably, some fuck off band's guitar tech and was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I know your stuff." But when you got and you got
Yep.
you didn't have to worry about having a third fucking guitar player because Steve Harris was holding it down. That's
Yep.
why that shit stood out so fucking well.
Hmm.
So yeah, not a big fan of this record.
Excellent choice. I am so glad you brought that one up. That's an excellent fucking choice. Well,
I told you guys I was going to neck on some of our favorite bands, and I can't help it. It just goes
so
to show you because I got another humdinger for you here in a minute.
so here's mine. That this was my biggest disappointment when Godflesh came out with this fucking album, Street
Oh
Cleaner.
yeah,
I fucking love this album. I got this album
love
on the
that
same
cover.
day that I found Symphony. Oh, so do I. When I found Symphonies of Sickness, I got these albums at the same time. Fucking loved both of them. So fucking good. And then I saw them on the Avalanche tour, which was this album. I used to have this T-shirt. Not as good as the previous. Not as good as Street Cleaner, but still pretty good. Still Godflesh. And then I think it was like 91 or 92, they released this piece of shit, Slave State.
Again, that's another one of those albums where you just look at the front cover and go,
Yeah, what the fuck?
what
Who
happened?
gives a fuck? Oh, I was so disappointed. It's all drum machine. The eerie guitars are mostly gone. It's more just kind of rhythm oriented. The really dark vocals are fucking gone. It's just boring and flat. And for being so pioneering, especially with um, fucking Street Cleaner, Christ Fate Rising, Like Rats, Life is Easy, The Street Cleaner, Locust Furnace. Oh my God, this fucking album was so inspiring to me. And on my new album, although it doesn't sound exactly like it, a lot of my inspiration is drawn from this album. So when you hear my new album, which Reaper just did 6 of the fucking songs last weekend. Thank you so fucking much. And it's sounding so tasty. I'm so excited to have this come out pretty soon for you. But oh my damn God, that fucking sucked.
When you think of bands like that just feel larger than life, like they literally were conjured from the abyss and deliver the most horrific, most intense, whether it be extreme or very doomy even, and you're so like invested in that awesomeness, and then they bring you something that is just lackluster, and it's like your balls like fell out of your asshole kind of thing, just like Eddie Weinbauer in the movie Trick or Treat, when he found out that Sammy Kerr died and he just kind of was like fell over on his bed. That's kind of like how we felt as fans of a particular sound, particular, type of intensity, and just very invested. So, yeah, I feel that. There's just so many on my list. It's ridiculous, but we don't even have to say that everything pretty much from the Black Album on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. We don't have to pick one. There's like fucking 10 of them. What's the point? We've fucking shat on every fucking bit of all of those records. We've done that before. We're not going to do it again. So unfortunately, we were so excited when King Diamond, beloved Satanist vocalist, metal artist, decided to reunite with Merciful Fate. Holy shit balls. It hadn't been since 1982, 1983, since they left us with so many amazing fucking songs. And oh my goodness, here they are. Lucifer has brought them back together and they're about to do a new record. And it's 1993. So everybody in the metal world at that point was like, yes! As long as he still, continues to do King Diamond, which he did. He has always done them like coincidingly. So I'm like, all right, awesome. And so they create a record known as In the Shadows. And they release a track that was so fucking cool. So heavy. Even the video was amazing. Nothing better than watching King himself walking through a church with those 3 motherfucking, attack dogs. It was so fucking cool. The song was called Egypt. And it was a banger. Until the rest of the record. I have never taken a Merciful Fate record and had to like fast forward after 20, 30 seconds of listening to the next track. I've never had to do that. It's like I don't know if they were just trying too hard or the fact that, what the fuck was his name? Denner? No, not Michael Denner, the other guy. The guy that ended up leaving Merciful Fate in the first place. Hank. Good old fucking Hank Sherman decides that he just doesn't have it yet or something. I don't know, but it was actually a little poppy throughout the record. This was not the Merciful Fate that we knew and loved. It was not ferocious. It was a lot of like boring beginnings that would last a minute to a minute 25. Tracks like The Old Oak was an 8-minute song, mostly of just guitar. And it's like, where's King? Where did King go? I don't even think King really knew how to lay his vocals over top of that song, to be perfectly honest with you. A Gruesome Time was just stupid. I'm sorry. It's just not. There's a reason there's a lot of these songs that do not get played live because they're not classic. They weren't hits. They weren't bangers. Legend of the Headless Rider was just kind of silly to me. So Beyond Egypt, the Bell Witch was okay. I got with that a little bit. And then, a beautiful song at the end of the album is That You, Melissa. That was cool. I like that one because if you remember back to the Melissa record, they had a very kind of a sweet song there. So it was almost like it's been 10 years since King was in that place mentally, emotionally, because of, his dearly departed sister, that, it was almost like a, paying homage to her. And that was just really, really cool. But the album as a whole was just not strong. They did not finally really get themselves back until Time, which was the very next record. So I honestly think if they would have waited, not put out that shit record. I mean, sure, everyone bought it because they're like, holy shit, it's the first new Merciful Fate we've had in 10 years. But it was disappointing. But by that second record, everybody was back. And then Into the Unknown. Still by far their best, in my opinion, of the later era.
What's your favorite out of the first three?
That is okay. If I honestly had to say, I gotta go with Don't Break the Oath.
Yep, me too. But Melissa is really close.
Oh, it was so fucking good. Oh, that's why it's like whenever somebody asks me that, I'm like, they're tied. Melissa and Don't Break the Oath are tied for me. So I don't know. One was a bit heavier than the other, in a lot of respects, but the drumming and the guitar and King's voice, quite frankly, on Don't Break the Oath was just such a powerful record. I mean, Come to the Sabbath. Everyone sings along at the show.
Well, yes.
No better satanic anthem than that tune right there. But they sure as hell were not singing in the shadows. So I don't know if you've heard that record, but I don't recommend it.
That one, I perused it one time at somebody's house who liked him a lot. And I remember thinking the other songs sounded off, like lack of inspiration, like clumsy, almost like not being themselves.
Yeah, like I said, they had that banger at the beginning. Egypt was solid, man. Great fucking song. But by track 2, that momentum just fell away.
Yeah, I think they knew that it wasn't near as good, so they put Egypt first. Maybe this will save our asses. They'll keep making excuses for the album by saying, well, that first song was good.
I totally believe that. And they were smart to release that as the album single.
All right. Do you want to rattle off some other shit cakes that are just real quick?
Yep.
So I'll do a couple, then you want to do a couple?
Absolutely.
So Korn, See You on the Other Side. This is the first one without Brian Welch. Me no likey. Gone is the creativity with that second guitar. Monkey just couldn't pull it off. And it's just Jonathan singing isn't as good. Yeah, don't like this one. And then I would say After Seasons in the Abyss, Divine Intervention. It just wasn't as good. To me, this was a flat album to me. Not horrible, but very flat. And I just didn't give half a shit for this album. And I bought it the day it came out. I was so excited. Took it home, and it starts off with Paul Bostap's like blasting the drums, kind of Judas Priest did in Painkiller, with his kind
Yeah.
of really fast double kicks, and kind of saying, "Hey, here I am." And then after that, I
He
was just like,
needed to.
wah, 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 wah. Oh, absolutely following up Dave Lombardo. But yeah, after Killing Fields wasn't all that good. I just didn't care for this Slayer album. Like it was a big disappointment. To me, I'll take Rain and Blood, South of Heaven, and Seasons in the Abyss all day. Those are my three favorite.
Surprisingly, on one list that I had found, they actually put South of Heaven on as one of their not so good records.
Oh fuck, I love that
Isn't
album.
that weird?
Oh yeah, that's really weird.
But I mean, I'll do you one better. Diabolus in Musica was
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
a good release whatsoever.
Yeah.
The drummer Bostaph even said that he did not play his strongest on that record, and he was like hurt, you know.
Mm.
So it's like you do this record hurt, so it's not going to be your best effort, and it was just, you know, like you said, very lackluster. And I think they really saw at their live shows that no one really cared about some of those songs. They just wanted to hear the classics, really.
Mhm.
Until, and I know you might not like this record, but God Hates Us All finally brought them back like to a better level where people like noticed Slayer again, like, oh, they're still badasses. Okay. You know, and they were able to continue on from there. But yeah, those two records were not very strong for them.
It was a real fucked up time for metal. Like the late '90s was
Oh
really
yeah,
fucked up. Really, really
it
fucked
was
up.
hard for a lot of those former kings of metal, to be honest.
Mhm.
One of them, Fear Factory.
Mhm.
Sadly, Digimortal was not a good record. Just, you know, it was very evident on this record that, you know, Burton and his really bad vocals, when it came to doing the clean singing, it just wasn't good. Relied a little too heavy on electronics also. Um, it didn't have the same punch and delivery that the earlier records gave. So I didn't really care for that one. Let's talk about Megadeth for a second.
Oh yeah, that's on my list, so let's do that one.
I mean, up to this point, you know, they've had 8 pretty solid or 7 solid records, but by the 8th one, called Risk,
Hmm. Even Cryptic
not a
Writings.
strong record for them.
Yeah, Cryptic Writings right before that, an uninspired album cover, and then Risk was yet another shit album cover. And Dave cut his hair to where it was like a bob. It was all the same length. That
Yeah,
is so not metal. Like whenever I see somebody growing their hair out and it's all cut the same length like a bob, I'm just like, dude, that looks like shit.
makes you wonder, like, did he feel like he was
Easy.
losing the battle yet again to Metallica? So they cut all their hair off. So maybe I should butch most of mine off too.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't save that record.
Mm-mm.
I can't tell you a memorable song off that record whatsoever. I didn't like any of it.
No, it was really uninspired. I bought both of them and I had them, and yeah, I don't think I have them anymore. Yep,
No.
that was a good call. Another one that I thought, and this is my Motley Crue, Theater of Pain. That was a huge disappointment. I've already talked about that several times, but I really like Motley Crue Shout at the Devil. And then for them to come out in lavender and pink for Theater of Pain and Smoking in the Boys Room.
It's
Fuck
like
you guys.
they
Huge
ditched
disappointment.
their entire look in one record, and then turned around and did it again after Theater of Pain.
Yeah.
Don't know if anyone's really paid attention to them during their career because, I mean, they are the ultimate suck.
Oh my God.
But it's like every single record they look different, and it didn't help their cause musically or anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I mean, unfortunately, I got one more, and I got to pick on Ozzy just a little bit.
Good.
There is one album in his later years that had the potential between Zach Wilde on guitar and Dean Castronovo on drums, who wonderful technician behind the drum kit, very double bass oriented, super solid, super tasty fills, and puts out Osmosis, that song Perry Mason. That was the first single that was released off of that. It was very heavy. It was very different for him. So I kind of thought, okay, this record is definitely a lot heavier than No More Tears was. Not saying anything too much against No More Tears, but there's some songs on there that are questionable.
Absolutely. Mama, I'm coming home. Oh my God.
I mean, at that point, though, Ozzy was not really. Oh, I don't know. How do you follow up from No Rest for the Wicked, which was just a balls to the wall good metal album, excellent singing from him, and then Get Sober for a while and puts that out. So to me, yes, No More Tears was a little bit disappointing from the previous record, but there's still some good songs on there. I'm just not such a huge fan of the ballad thing. But then, like I said, with Osmosis, they released Perry Mason, sounded like they were really going to go into a heavier direction. And there are a lot of really good songs on the Osmosis record. It's just one problem. There was a whole, we've talked about this before. Ozzy gets sober, and then suddenly he's got ballad after ballad after ballad after ballad about, oh, how I've done things so bad in my life, and looking back on my life, and I'm so, full of regret and sorrow. It's like, how many fucking times do we need to hear that? Just done in a different key, a different song, a different album. And on Osmosis, there's quite a few bad ones on there. But then again, there was a couple of other songs. Maybe if they would have reworked the track listing and chop it up between something strong, something light, something strong, something light, and then something even stronger, to really move you through the record, I think it could have been better. And there were some songs that they had done but released on a box set. Well, I was like, why the fuck didn't you put those songs on the record? Those were badass. I hate it when artists, they come up with a shit ton of songs, right, for a record, and they know they can't put all 15, 16, or 17 of them onto a record. And then just pick from the pile and say, okay, you know what I mean? It's like, you left the heaviest tunes off the record. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm sorry. Again, I don't know if you've heard that one, but it's definitely not.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's a flop. Never bought it. My last one is Testament, Souls of Black.
Oh, I remember that record.
And here's one of the things that I found with the songs that I really hate. When you have a 1, 2, or 3 word phrase for the chorus that you just repeat, such as
Yeah,
Souls of Black, Souls of Black, and you just keep repeating that same thing. Like
right.
you've lost it creatively. It's just fucking boring. And a lot of the bands who had shit albums went to that. It's poor songwriting by the vocalist, I think, a lot of the time.
It's another one of those bands that have like been around for a pretty good amount of time, but you would think though from a lot of their previous work that you wouldn't run into that. Or, did he just feel like he couldn't, fit more in there vocally, or I don't know.
It's it's an uninspired album. It sounds like somebody rushed them, and they weren't as
Could
talented
have
as
been.
Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was absolutely rushed album after album after album in the 80s, and they toured their asses off.
Oh, they
And
sure did.
and
Those were the days of world tours.
absolutely, man, they toured their asses off. And that they were so talented though that they made great album after great album. And Practice What You Preach was a pretty good album. I have some
I,
issues with
I enjoyed it.
this the sound of the drums sound real shitty in that one, but they're good, catchy songs, well written songs. The New Order, New World Order, New Order is the one that has like the Earth with the skull on it. That was right before it. That's a really good album, and The Legacy is a really good Testament album. So they did several really good albums, and then Souls of Black was just flat, and it came out on the same day that Seasons in the Abyss came out from Slayer. And so I bought both of them on that day, and I was severely disappointed by one and not the other.
That was just a tough time. It's kind of hard to really pit. I don't know. They might have felt like it was a great fucking record for them. They really probably did. But going up against what is now one of Slayer's most iconic records ever, man, I couldn't imagine being another band releasing an album the same time that they did. It's like, oof. I mean, unless you're like, honestly, though, I've always loved Testament. I know you've loved Testament. And there's a lot of our viewers out there in Morgrot land that love Testament. But I never ran into anyone that said Testament is my favorite number one band of all time. A band that fits in their wheelhouse that they like to listen to from time to time, sure. But a Slayer fan is literally everywhere, whether you love them, hate them, or not. You're always going to run into somebody, that's got a Slayer shirt on, this, that, the other thing. So I don't know. Testament had a really good period of time, but during that time in the 90s, they're not very strong. 2000s, though, came back strong, good lineups, good writing.
Yeah, I
Even
think it
Chuck
was.
Billy did some different stuff with his voice.
Yeah, I think it was like 98 or 96 when Gene Hoglan got on an album. That's a really good album, really heavy album. Like, so after Souls of Black, they came out with The Ritual, and The Ritual was, I thought, a little bit better, but maybe overproduced, a little bit too clean. And it was a bit
For a
flat.
band like that, it needed some grit.
Yeah. About a 2.5 or three out of 5 stars at best. But Souls of Black to me was a 1.5. It sounded rushed. It sounded really uninspired.
Definitely agree. So, I mean, that's our list, guys. You guys have given us actually quite a few to look at as well. If I go back here in the comments just a little bit, Cody says, I love In Flames. I was introduced when Come to Clarity came out, but A Sense of Purpose is then only
Is the
came out,
only
but A
album
Sense
I
of
can't get into.
Right. Because it just doesn't feel like the same In Flames to them. Sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how I
and
was with Carcass.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not the same. It wasn't the same Carcass.
And, bands do this all the time, especially during that decade. And I would even say, or like the first 10 years of the 2000s. Some bands are like worried about their legacy and they want to stay relevant, because I'm pretty sure every industry person behind the scenes was like, well, you got to stay relevant. Well, you got to stay relevant. Do you have anything new? Do you have a fresh new sound? A lot of these iconic bands took that to heart.
Mhm.
Some of them changed up their entire formulas, and you're like, well, what the fuck happened to what you guys were doing back on so-and-so record?
Mhm.
Now it's like, you're not even the same thing. I can name so many different bands that did that. Shit, Rob Zombie's one of them. Marilyn Manson, hello. It's happened quite a bit. Black metal artists have done it. Cradle's done it. Demi Borger's done it. Even Morbid Angel had a kind of a flippy floppy,
Oh,
time
yeah, they did.
where
Oh,
it wasn't that great. And it's like, because they try something new, or like we said, there something maybe happened in their life, and all of a sudden it's not the same sounding band.
Yeah, they're doing something out of character.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's I think that's the phrase I've been looking for all night. They make something that's out of character.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also a lot of bands, and you guys know this, do shit on purpose to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because it's not because it was what they were feeling. It's because they're like, okay, let's do something else. How many times have we seen artists do that in metal? Quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially in that new metal genre.
Yeah.
I think Korn was like the only one that didn't really do that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we really appreciate you guys hanging with us tonight and giving us some other albums that we were like, oh yeah, we remember that, or we really enjoy when you guys add so much more to the show with picks of your own. And there was a lot of good ones. I mean, there's a laundry list. Judas Priest had some bad records. Oh my goodness. Right after British Steel, in fact, I read up a little bit about how that album that came out right after British Steel was received, and it was the most hated of the catalog from the 80s. So if that tells you anything, every iconic band, or even bands that have been around, let's say 10 years, that we've always liked, somewhere down the line, there's a record that disappoints us, and we all have them. So hopefully you learned something. If you think a fellow listener or fan of a band that you think this episode would help, definitely pass it on. Share. We appreciate you guys so much. So definitely, if you missed it live, you can catch it on YouTube. And of course on Reaper's Underground Morgrot Entertainment page and Black Flame Entertainment page. So we got some really exciting interviews coming this week on Friday. In fact, Rune Blasphemer Erickson will be joining the Underground, but it's going to be an early show. It's 12 p.m. CST. So if you guys, a lot of you guys work and stuff, if you can't make it, you can definitely catch it right after it happens. But if you are a diehard Viltmoss or Mayhem fan, you're definitely not going to want to miss that one. And then what do we have for them Sunday
at 4:30.
I was going in order, but that's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You can tell them about Sunday.
Okay. What's on Saturday? I don't know what's on Saturday.
Oh, it's the goddamn program.
Oh, hell yeah. Of course. Now, the goddamn program is going to be fucking awesome. I,
It's gonna be
I
sick.
it's normally Reaper who finds all of these, but I happen now. My wife shared these with me, and these are gonna fucking make you laugh. If you're from Europe, if you're from Australia or something, and you want to make fun of America, get ready because it's about to happen. We're gonna make fun of our own kind.
That's not that hard to do, to be perfectly
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. No,
And of
it's
course,
pretty easy.
I have some very tasty, blasphemous things to spread that I have also found. So it's going to be an action-packed show. So
Yeah, it's gonna
bring lots of bourbon, weed, and snacks.
yeah, it's gonna charge my batteries. That show's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. A lot of laughs, funny visuals, real fun shit. And then on Sunday, we
Sinful
have
Sunday.
we have conjured. We're calling this episode uh, the avant-garde of metal, and so it's going to be us speaking with none other than Josh Elmore of Cattle Decapitation, and alongside Nick Turner, who is the founder of Malevolent Sound Records, and he's in about 5 bands right now. But most recently, he put out a Causal Intrusions Panpsychism album. He's a duo, kind of like how we are right now. He's a duo. He's got a drummer, but he writes all the lyrics. But anyways, both of these guys are a fount of knowledge, so get ready. You're going to hear the names, and we're going to talk about who were the first pioneers. I mean, we're likely going to go back to be talking about jazz. We're going to talk about Frank Zappa probably a little bit, and
Oh, hell yeah. He was the
who in,
original innovator.
who inspired the metalheads to change. I've got 2 bands in 1989 who were very key. I mean, there's so many. And then it got to one album that came out in 1998, and these guys have defined and inspired so much afterward. So we're going to be talking about those who, like, if you're always looking for something to be new, you're always trying to push it. If you get bored of a certain style, like right now, I'm pretty fucking bored with black metal, most black metal. Now, Mayhem had a great one. Watain had one a couple years ago that were outstanding, but there's like 10,000 black metal bands that all sound the best. Oh, y'all. They're all
For sure.
so fucking boring. It's either atmospheric black metal, Formula, Winter Phylith, Yawn. Like there's so many that are just a fucking yawn. And I don't get it. It's just so boring. If you're into something like Deathspell Omega, I guarantee you we're talking about Deathspell Omega. Somebody who took black metal and turned it into something new. The
Absolutely.
avant-garde of metal, Sunday, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Josh Elmore's out in Berlin. He's staying up late for this show for us. And if you haven't seen it, you can look for when we interviewed Josh Elmore back in, I think it was April, early April or late March. So we've got that
It was
episode.
right around there.
He stayed with us for like 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's a really good episode. He talks about the history of cattle decapitation, how everybody came together, how it evolved over the years. Outstanding.
Absolutely. And with this, coming interview with the two of these guys, you, the crowd, are going to have an opportunity because it's going to be more about discussing future of metal, extreme metal, and all, like you said, the avant-garde stuff that's kind of coming out of left field, and people are like, hey, this is such a cool way to do this. So, you guys will be right there, a part of that conversation. And of course, bring your questions for them if you've never been, live when we interviewed Josh before, or Causal Intrusion. So this is your chance. We will try to get to as many of them as possible. But as a matter of fact, we keep kind of talking about this past recording of this weekend. And I actually have a little bit of inside look for y'all if you haven't really been, peeled into my socials lately. Of course, I have to spread the drumming from the abysses kind of the set drumming from the abyss sessions, trying to get these tracks done for Hoof Beast's new record. So here's a little something for you. Check it out.
Here we go.
I like that little montage because it shows you me laying the track dry. You don't hear what's coming through my earphones. And then you see it once it's going through the board. And then finally you get to hear all of the music that Hoof Beast has written over top of that track. So I have a little bit more footage that I'll probably put out there just to show you guys, because it's definitely one of the hardest records I've ever done, because I've never had to go in before something that's already put together, not having been in the room together, writing this stuff together and just, laying it down. But it was also probably, I would say, the most rewarding recording I've done in a very, very long time. So
good. And it sounds so good.
Like you said, I think it brought the best out of my playing.
Yeah, that's great. Like I knew you were the right one for especially for all the slow parts. Your jazz influence in the way you do fills and accents in there, that's exactly what it needed, and I can hear it. This is what I knew I was going to get. It's so fucking excited. And for the next album, I'm just going to camp out with you, and we're going to fucking write some shit together. We'll write them all together. It'll be so much easier on me too.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. All right. We thank you guys, as always, for joining us on Tracks of the Damned, even though it was on Tuesday night this time. But it'll be back on Monday. So stay peeled to all the shows coming up this week. Do yourself a favor. Listen to as much new stuff as you can. And also look back for some inspiration, especially if you're a musician. But the most important thing, keep your ears peeled for everything that is happening in today's metal. And always, most importantly, hold on one second. You must always, always, always remember, stay heavy.
All residents, go in and stay in your houses. Drive the rats